Welcome and thank you for joining us on this webinar, Building a New Website, Best Practice and Considerations. My name is Michael Mavasagi and I'm a Senior Search and Conversion Strategist here at ClickThrough. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we hope to share some tips with you on building a website with SEO, ROI and conversion at the core. I just want to start by going through what's included in this webinar, the areas we're going to cover. So firstly, we're going to look at some key challenges to web development and the importance of goal setting. Secondly, we're going to look at ClickThrough's best practice framework to web build. Thirdly, how to build a website that provides you with an ROI. Fourthly, the importance of keyword planning, SEO and conversion-led design. Fifthly, we'll look at this big debate at the moment about responsive design versus a separate mobile site. And then sixthly, we'll look at open source versus paid platforms. So just an introduction and key challenges. Building a new website regularly results in marketeers making their biggest mistake. If a site builder migration is not done properly, it can damage your site's visibility in search engines and your ability to convert visitors into leads or sales. But what we want to do today is to share some tactics and tips with you that will hopefully stop that from happening and give you a website that is found by search engines, has a high conversion rate and a healthy return on your investment. And as an agency, we very much believe that when building a site, it's very important to define objectives for your build and ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? And typically, there are 4 objectives or goals for designing a new website. The first is a technical-led goal. So this could be something like, we want a Magento e-commerce site that's easy to update and integrates with our back-end Sage 200 system. Many large organizations are starting to look at integrating different systems they use to operate their business in both back office and middle office. This might be Sage, Dynamics or SAP. The second objective or goal is design and branding led. So this could be something like, we want a website that positions us as the fresh, innovative Apple of our marketplace, so it's high end and high price. In our experience, medium and large size companies undergo branding or marketing exercises and they find that their current website does not satisfy the outcomes of this exercise. And a typical mistake is that the new website fails to take into account any success the old website may have had, such as strong organic rankings. The third is functional and UX-led design. So we want a website that's easy to navigate for visitors and offers them a great user experience. The web is always changing and there's lots of great new technology around, but there's good and bad ways to implement them. Any website offering interactive user experience must be created in such a way that it doesn't compromise your content and search strategy. The fourth objective is metric-led design, and we believe that this is the most important objective and perhaps one that isn't considered when building a new site. So, prior to the beginning of the build, it's important to set yourself smart goals on what you want to achieve from your website. So this could be, we want to increase our organic traffic from 20 to 25,000 per month and our e-commerce conversion rate from 0.5 to 1% per month. These goals can be achieved from building a site with search engines, conversion and SEO at the core. So metric-led design is in fact SEO and conversion-led design. It's important to note that there are plenty of examples where focusing on this objective alone will fail to satisfy marketing and brand objectives. And I think it's important at this point to make it really clear that all these 4 objectives that we've considered need to be taken into account when building the new site. Because your website must integrate with your current systems. It must mirror your brand and position in the market. It must be clean, easy to use and navigate, and communicate effectively with a strong user experience. And this, we believe, is the skill to web design and build. As the first 3 objectives are commonplace in web development, I want to focus the rest of our webinar on the uncommon objective and that fourth objective, metric-led design. So we want to move on to think about ROI modeling, the impact of conversion rate optimization and SEO best practice. It's very important to make sure that your website delivers a return on your investment. The reason for this, it's highly likely that the cost of your new site will be a sizable investment for your company. And as an agency, we believe that careful ROI forecasting is absolutely key. On screen is an example of our ROI modeling tool, and this is used to help our clients set metric-led goals. Just talk you through what you're seeing on screen. So the first thing that we do is we understand your current situation by looking at Google Analytics. This includes your monthly visits, your average sales value, and your lifetime sales value. We then understand your sales and conversion funnel, whether it be click to inquiry form or click to phone call. And I'll just point out in this scenario here, we're just looking at a lead generation site. The same sort of planning and ROI modeling can be done for an e-commerce framework as well. So as we say, we look at the click to inquiry form, as you can see there, and also the click to phone call as well. We then understand how many inquiries and how many sales then that will equate to, and again how many phone calls get coming through, what the phone call to sales conversion rate is, and therefore how many new sales would come through from the phone. What we can then understand is what that looks like in monetary terms. So we've got the monthly revenue here, and then we can equate that to year 1, year 2 and year 3 revenue. What we also do is we look at how certain tactics in isolation will impact your bottom line. So you can see here scenario 1, which is conversion optimization, and this has the biggest impact and can really revolutionize your online business. So you can see in this example here that we move the conversion rate from 1 to 2.5%, and you can see what impact that has on the overall number of leads and sales that are coming through to the business, and in turn you can see what impact that has on the bottom line. So monthly revenue is going from £45,000 to £67,500 a month. Scenario 2 looks at the impact of best practice SEO build. This is ensuring that you've got SEO at the core of your build, and this is looking particularly at best practice and technical aspects of the site. So as we've said, this ensures that you've got Google best practice is being followed, and therefore more traffic, as you can see, is being driven through to your website. The third is on-page content. So this is making sure that you've got keyword-rich, optimized on-page content. And once again, this will make the site more visible in search engines and therefore increase the traffic to your site. The target, though, is what happens if we do all of those things. So you've got SEO and conversion at the core of your site, and you can see that your visitors have gone up from 20 to 32,000, and the conversion rate has gone from 1 to 3.5%. And again, you can see the impact that this is having. If you do all of these things, the bottom line is going from 45 to £132,000 a month, and you can see what impact that has on a year-on-year basis. So you can see how important it is to get these elements into your web build, both SEO and conversion at the core of your build. And I want to move on to talk about our web development framework. This is our best practice framework, and we've developed this over 10 years. Because during that period of time, we've been building sites, we've made all the mistakes, and because of that, we now follow this process. And I want to talk you through each of the points. There are 5 key stages down the left, as you can see, and just important to point out really that the majority of web builds will jump straight to this implementation phase. And what they actually do is really ignore these first 2 steps. And both of these stages are absolutely critical to the delivery of your site. And I'll just talk you through each of these various elements as we go through. So you need to do needs and scoping to clearly determine the technical, the design, and the performance goals. Platform selection to match your goals, whether that be WordPress or an e-commerce platform such as Magento or Shopify, or whatever is appropriate for your business. And we'll discuss the pros and cons of that later on. Audit of analytics to determine current benchmark metrics such as traffic sources, conversion rates, bounce rates, and what devices and browsers your visitors are using. Persona analysis, so it's identifying your customers' profiles, their needs, and how these can be fulfilled on the website in the content and the calls to action. Forecasting objectives, which we've already discussed, and we've seen how we do that. Keyword auditing, so this is getting a list of all keywords being used on search engines to find your products and services, and we'll show you how to do this in just a moment, and why it's so important to web build projects. Competitor benchmark auditing, this is also really useful to understand their good practices and traffic levels, to help set your own goals. Where do they rank versus your site, and potentially why is that? Moving on then to think about the planning phase. This is always key. This relates to planning keyword usage, mapping URLs, planning how to serve your personas, navigation planning, conversion planning, content and migration planning from existing websites. And in this session, we're going to focus particularly on keyword planning and conversion planning and why that is so important. Move on to the implementation phase. We're not really going to cover this area today, but this includes actually writing and optimizing the content for search engines, designing based upon conversion best practices, development, integration with your third-party systems, whether that be a stock control or a payment system, and then setting up analytics, content upload, and hosting setup. The next phase, testing and launch. Obviously, that's a really important phase. Again, we won't really touch on that today, but that's testing and bug fixing, SEO checklist and testing, analytics and form testing, browser and platform testing, navigation testing, penetration security testing, and then after launch, any sort of post-testing and fixing that needs to be done. The final stage is the maintenance and marketing stage. This is the ongoing. So once the website's gone live, it's so important to ensure and to maintain your visibility within search engines through an ongoing integrated digital marketing strategy. So I want to move on to think about keyword auditing and planning. And this is building the website with SEO and conversion at the core. And I want to explain to you how we do this at ClickThrough. We have developed a unique keyword ROI modeling tool, which is our technology that we use for keyword auditing and modeling on our website builds. I'm just going to duck out the presentation and explain this to you if I can. So what you're seeing on here is on screen is an example of a keyword database, this keyword ROI database that we use. And I'll just talk you through very briefly the process that we go through so you can understand this. So what we do is we take first of all a list of seed terms that are related to your particular industry and market space. Using then various tools such as the Google Keyword Tool and SpyFu and other tools that are available online, we then search for all of the keywords that are in your market space. And you can see how that very relatively few seed terms produce this really big list of keywords that are related to your search landscape and your keyword landscape. Scroll back up to the top. What we then do is we look at what the monthly search volume is, and then we can start mapping estimated click-through rate. So we've got here an example of 15%, just sort of taking into account really the sort of top positions within Google. It then says to us, if we were to get that click-through rate, what would that look like in terms of traffic? We can then start mapping visit to sale conversion rates. How many sales then could we expect to get from that? We can then put in the average sales value of each of our transactions, and then it starts telling us what that would look like in terms of total sales revenue. And we can do that for each individual keyword within the account. Now, because this is what this also does, it can also be used for ongoing SEO as well. I'll just point that to you just for a moment. So what it also does is it looks at where you're ranking currently for given keywords. So you can see, for example, if I just demonstrate this to you, bear with me one moment. If we just, it will show you where you're ranking for and what keywords you're currently ranking for, and you can see that there. If you're, say, ranking in position 19, for example, then you can say, well, we're doing quite well, we're ranking quite well for that keyword, so it's a short-term opportunity to actually boost the rankings to give us some short-term wins, and it also shows you what page is particularly ranking at any given time. What it also does is it shows you keywords that you're not ranking for. Let me just demonstrate that to you. So it just also says, what are you not ranking for at the moment, and gives you a whole list of keywords that you're not ranking for. So you can use this for an ongoing and longer term content strategy to build content around those particular keywords. The other thing that it does, and I'll just show you this as well, it can be used for PPC, because what it does as well is it drags in for you the average cost per click, so you can see how much each click would cost you if you were to bid on those given keywords. So hopefully it's been useful to demonstrate that to you, and what we've seen there really is that it's pulling all the keywords into your universe, it's showing the search volumes and the ranking data, and then we can use this data for the areas you can see on screen. So content development plans, so creating readable content that includes keywords your audience is searching for. We can also use it for sitemap and navigation, URL hierarchies and mapping. So this means using the most appropriate keywords from the strategy to determine friendly URLs for the pages of your site, titles and descriptions, and then optimization of content. And then once the site's been built, as we also showed you, you can use the keyword ROI database for ongoing SEO and PPC strategy and ongoing content and marketing strategies as well. I want to move on to think about conversion-led design, because we've already seen how important conversion rate optimization is in delivering an ROI on your site. So it's important that we look at this area, and we're going to give you some tips on how this can be considered during your site builds. And just as a note, the conversion rate optimization analysis and planning falls under the planning phase of our best practice framework. When looking at this area, it's important to ask yourself a number of questions and to consider the points that are on screen. So the first one is, what will each persona visiting your site want to do? And what this will do is drive the type of information that you have available on site. So the second point is, what should appear on each page? And I think perhaps more importantly, where should it appear? We use eye tracking studies to understand where visitors look when they land on site. And you can see here the deep red areas. And that shows where the eyes were when they landed on site. So having key information and calls to action in certain places on screen really maximizes your conversion rate. So thirdly, how can we simplify the conversion process? So I think more importantly at that stage as well is, how can we minimize the number of clicks? It's important to do this so that we minimize drop-off before the visitor has converted. Fourthly, it's important to understand what a typical user journey will look like. And then finally, how can all of this be tracked through Google Analytics? And it's important to note at this point that ongoing conversion rate optimization through A/B testing is always recommended, with the scope of increasing conversion rate even further. In ClickThrough, we've developed a conversion process which is called Conversion Spy. And each of these points you can see on screen has around 20 elements that we consider. But because of time, I'm just going to focus on a few examples. And as you can see, Conversion Spy has 4 main areas: messaging, design, persuasion and psychology, and usability. And as I said, I want to look at each of these very briefly in turn. So the first one then is messaging. So this is all about giving clarity and answering key questions and challenges of your visitors. So it's about using clear headlines with statements and USPs, explaining what you're selling, what the costs are, why should I trust and believe you, what's in it for me, and what are the benefits versus your competitors. The second area is design, and you can see here an example of encapsulation and contrasting backgrounds. A simple box around a form fill or call to action makes it really easy to stand out, and you can see the example there, how that box on the right hand side draws the visitor's eye to it and hence increases the conversion rate. And also the use of contrast and colour is also very important. I dare you to click on anything but the moon. You have to make sure that your calls to action stand out from their surroundings. And calls to action should be in a different colour to their surroundings to make them stand out, and you can see that with the use of the green call to action button. The next area is directional cues. This is like saying ignore everything and pay attention here. An arrow is a very unsubtle way of directing your audience to a call to action. It's even better if it's contrasting to the other colours around. So the real message here is give the eye a pathway to follow to the call to action and make sure that all roads lead to a conversion. The third area is psychology. So this is all about using psychology to build urgency into your calls to action. And this can be particularly effective for e-commerce sites. So it's all about using words and phrases like urgency, limited supply, last few remaining, and timed offers. For lead generation sites, phrases such as sign up for a free trial, try before you buy, can give reassurance and increase conversion rate. What's also important is social proofing and similarity. And this is something that we've looked at quite a lot. The idea and the research behind this is really, really interesting. And what this shows is that we like to follow the crowd. So can you do something on your site that makes this point? We like to buy if others have bought in the past. So is it possible to have messages on your site that convey this? So it's important to include messages such as customer satisfaction rates and messaging that others who bought this product also bought that. And you may have seen this on sites such as eBay, Amazon, and hotel comparison sites. The final area is user options. This comes under the usability area of Conversion Spy. So what you're seeing on screen are two landing pages that are identical, except for the one on the left has got 4 options for the user to click on, and the one on the right has got the 3 options for the user to click on. And through A/B testing, it was found that the landing page on the right with the 3 options had a 78% higher conversion rate than the page on the left that had the 4 options. So what we're saying here is communicate a single conversion goal if you can, and sometimes less is in fact more. The end game of conversion-led design is to ensure that everything on page is there for a reason and contributes to conversion. And I just want to use the ClickThrough site as an example, because what we actually did was took out any elements that didn't convert so that every element on page was there, as we said, for a reason. So you've got clear navigation, you've got visual messages, you've got trust credentials, which comes under the psychology aspect, you've got the USPs, also the fact that we're real people, reinforcing that trust and that psychology. We've also got the idea of trusted brands, that we are a real business working with businesses that people understand. We've got SEO copy, explaining why you should use us. And then we've got service-based text as well. But what we've got here, you'll notice, hopefully, is that we haven't got any read mores at the bottom. What we've actually got is buttons with keywords on. So this is helping, from an SEO point of view, to increase the number of keywords on a page. As you scroll down, you'll see that the navigation is fixed, allowing a great user experience for people to get back to the top of the page. You've got further calls to action to collect data, a button to send to the top, and then sort of legal information as well. And then you've also got these further menus here. So wherever someone is on site, they can always get to either back to where they started or back to another page. If you go onto a secondary page, you'll see that we've got further navigation, we've got further calls to action with more content. From a psychological point of view, tick say yes. So you've also got this reinforcement, reminding them to call. And then you've also got some further calls to action here as well. So just a bit of an example there, how all of that conversion can be brought into a real website. This webinar actually comes with a warning, and the warning is to watch out for the hippo and stick to your objectives. The hippo is the highest paid person's opinion. If you've planned your objectives for your website and your build, you're clear on where you want to go and what you want to achieve, and that you can do that within your given budget, don't let the hippo change your plans and opinions. It's important to find evidence of what is best through scientific analysis and testing rather than opinion. Of course, you don't want to underestimate their experience and insight, but remember that all good ideas and instincts can be A/B tested. I want to move on now to just think for a moment about evolutionary versus traditional website management. On screen, you can see two graphs. The one on the left is showing traditional website management, whereby companies tend to redesign their website every 5 years, where a large financial investment is necessary. And you can see that with those large gaps there on this left-hand side. On the right is what's called ongoing evolutionary design, with very small incremental financial investments. As we've established, the traditional approach can have an impact on SEO rankings and search engine visibility. Even if it's done well, you may see an initial success. When it's not making continuous investment, this success will dwindle. As website platforms are easy to update and are built to be very adaptive, we recommend the revolutionary design approach, making adaptive changes over time to stay in touch with the changing face of your business. This also means capturing and analysing data about behaviour and running A/B split tests to encourage conversion optimization. And that leads us on very nicely to think about A/B testing for a moment. And I think it's always useful to consider what tools are available. On screen, you can see a breakdown of the most popular A/B testing platforms. It's been taken from builtwith.com. And it's showing the top 10,000 websites and what platform they use for A/B testing. And you can see that Optimizely is the most common. I've mentioned that it's important to continue to hone conversion rate optimization for many months following the launch of the site. And one way to achieve this is through A/B testing, which we'll talk about in more detail in a separate webinar. However, in order to know what to test, we do have to come up with ideas for improvement. I mentioned that we take account of eye tracking studies, so you can install software such as Crazy Egg to understand where your users are clicking. I want to think for a moment about SEO quality checklists and accreditation, and this is ensuring that the site is SEO accredited before going live. And as an agency, we've developed a technical site audit that's actually one of the 35 steps in the best practice web dev framework. And what this technical audit does is it gives you a full comprehensive review of your site against major and technical content aspects. It's a 30+ page report depending on the size of your site. It checks over 20 factors that are known to be part of Google's organic search algorithm. And running the audit ensures that SEO is at the core, that your site is SEO accredited before going live. Even though we build our sites with SEO at the core, each site that we build has a technical site audit before going live, and we'd recommend that you do the same. And I want to consider this debate that's going on at the moment between responsive design versus a mobile site. And everyone knows that this is absolutely critical. As an agency, we understand the importance of responsive design, and this is our preferred option over a mobile site. What you're just seeing on screen there is just an example of the site that we've built for GTech, and you can see how the site looks on the various platforms. You've got the mobile device and the tablet, and as we said, a responsive design site is our preferred option. I think really there are 5 main reasons as to why we would choose a responsive site. The first is that it's recommended by Google and is industry best practice. The second, it provides the richest possible user experience. Thirdly, it's one website across many devices. There's no need for a mobile and desktop site. A responsive site will work well regardless of device and screen. It saves time and money, and the reason for this is that you've got one site, so you're not having to do SEO and link building across multiple sites. And finally, it's easier to manage for the same reason. And at ClickThrough, we've developed an online tool that allows you to see your website on mobile devices, and we'll share this link with you at the end of the session. So just to summarize then, responsive website design is recommended by Google. It allows one website to provide a great user experience across many devices and screens. It's making sure and managing your SEO strategy a lot easier. And for these reasons, we believe that responsive is the best option for your mobile SEO and PPC strategy. We now want to look at open source platforms versus paid platforms. So this is considering things like Magento and WordPress versus platforms like Vendor and IBM WebSphere. But before considering the benefits, let's consider which platforms the top 10,000 e-commerce sites are using. And again, you're seeing some study here that's been done with Built With. And what you're seeing is that Magento is the leading e-commerce platform for the top 10,000 e-commerce sites that are currently that have been looked at with this study. And then what we're seeing on this chart, it's showing which CMS system the top 10,000 content managed sites are using. And as you can see here, WordPress is by far the dominant choice with over 43%. So in summary, the open source platforms are by far the most used across e-commerce and CMS sites. So why the big case for open source? Believe it or not, it really does provide a better quality at a fraction of the price. And some of the reasons for that is that you get freedom from vendor locking, limitation and upgrade paths, lower cost of ongoing support from agencies compared to the expensive paid vendors, security and fixed enhancements available across the vast open source community, and finally, many more integrations with third-party tools, whether that be email management platforms like MailChimp and A/B testing tools such as Crazy Egg and Optimizely that we've thought about. So just finally, a little bit about ClickThrough. We are a specialist digital agency. We've been in the market for just over 10 years. And over that time, we've built up our credibility within the marketplace. We've won awards. We're now top 100 recommended agency, and we appear in the consultancy buyer's guide. We're efficient across multiple platforms, as you can see, and we've also got examples of web build work that we've done. So if you want us to show you any of that, we're more than happy to do that. I just want to finish by looking at the digital strategy wheel, and this is showing you the importance of having your website at the core. What we then do is we build a strategy for you based upon the analysis and research that we've talked about. You can see the importance of conversion optimization, how that fits into all of the aspects, and then round the outside you've got PPC and SEO, and it's about finding an integrated digital marketing solution for you based upon those services that we offer. So that covers everything that we want to talk about. Thank you for your time. I hope that's been useful, and it just leaves you today. Thank you very much and have a good day. And what you're seeing on screen there is the viewer that we mentioned, where you can see if your site is responsive or not. Please feel free to make a note of that.